No mai hara mai e te whānau. Please take your seats and turn your attention to the stage. The Ockham New Zealand Book Award ceremony is about to commence.
Ue te pau o te whare ki atu tangatanga. He kapua whakairi nāku ki runga o maunga whau o maunga kie. Taku kiri katoa kia e te anu mātau e tau e. Na mai e wahaki tāku tua wairea. Wairea tūrā tāre kore koana, wairea uta, wairea tai, wairea te o ne tapu e. Ka hura tangata uta me tūra ki atu ki tangata tai. Ka hura tangata tai me tūra ki atu ki tangata uta. Pērā hoki rā, te korepe nui, te korepe roa, te wāhi awa, te totoi awa, whakamaua, i tama ki te ara, ki te rangi tā whangawhanga. He tauira mai. Ko te whakaariki, ko tō whakaariki tuku a mai ki a piri, tuku a mai ki a tata. Ki a whitirere a manu tuku a mai ki te paipai o e nuku e. Tamai a hua i apua ki te pōuriuri, ki te pōtango, ki tua o pai. Tenei te toki arata ka mau karanga ki te tāhuhu nui o rehua. Ki a rāke ana ia ko tānei te pupuhi. Hei ki miora, ki te whaiao, ki te ao mārama, turuturu auta, turuturu atai, tuturu whakamau ai, kia tīnā, haumi e hui e, tae ki e. E noho anau i runga i oku taumana, kia angātua ku kanohi ki maunga whau, ki maunga kie. Ki te paitapu o te pau o Hawaii ki tātā ki nei te atua no tua whakarere. E tohu ana ko teihu o te waka o tūtahi tonu, hei aha koara koi ara, hei pohiri ngā tū koi ara ke kata i te hikoi. Hikarua te hikoi. Kia wherorino ki waipapa meikau ki takuipu waimimi o te wai te mata. Ki a titiro ki ngā puke kawa o tumu whenua. Te nohoanga o te tāu, te uringutu o ngā ho Te Mūrau ora. Te Mūrau ora ki te whaiao, ki te ao marama. Kāti, kei aku manuhiri, kei aku raurangatira, koutou kua tae mai nei, i runga i te reo karanga. Haere mai, haere mai, haere mai. E kara e tāpou, aratakina mai rā, ngā manuhiri tūārangi. Ki runga hoki i te kaupapa o te pōnei. Koutou ko tō rahi, haere mai, haere mai, haere mai. Pikauria mai rā ngā tini mate ngā huatanga kei runga i a koutou. Kia tūhono rā, ki ngā mate o mātou. Kia mihihia, kia tangihia, kia poroporo aki tahi tātou. Ngā mate o te wā. Ko rātou o te pō, anei ko tātou a pōpō. Hoi no ko te wāhi ki au. E whakatau i a tātou, tā tātou kaupapa, ei ro te teahia hipone. Haere mai e ngā pūkenga, haere mai ngā wānanga. Haere mai ngā kai whao, te kupu, ki te pepa. Haere mai, haere mai, haere mai rā. It's indeed an honour and a privilege to be able to extend this voice of welcome on behalf of my people, of Ngāti Whātua o Rākei, of Te Tāu, of Te Uringutu, of Ngāoho. And we welcome you beneath the guise of our ancestral mountains, Mau Ngā Whau and Mau Ngā Kie Kie, upon the sacred waters of the Wai Te Mata. We welcome everybody once, twice, 3 times to this very special occasion as we celebrate literary excellence i rote te pōnei. Haere mai, haere mai, haere mai, haere mai. E mihi ana ki ngā āpiha o te kāwanatanga, ngā minita kei wainga nui a tātou, haere mai. E mihi hoki ana ki ngā kaikaunihira tō tātou taone o tāna ki mā kaurau, haere mai e ngā mana, e ngā reo, e aku raurangatira. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, kia ora hui hui mai anō tātou katoa.
Te aroha,
Te whakapono. Of that waiata in love and in hope and in peace. Tēnā koutou, kia ora hui hui mai anō tātou katoa e tau ana.
Tēnā tātou i te whānau, ko te mihi tuatahi e ōtene. Nā tua tūwhera i ngā kawa o tēnei pō, kua huri koe e te whārangi tuatahi o te kōrero ka tuhia i tātou i tēnei pō, ngā mihi nui. Kei te mihi nui huki ki te iwi, te mana whenua o Ngāti Whātua o Rākei. Mō tō koutou manaaki, i a mātau i tēnei pō, i runga i te manaakitanga, te whakapapa, me ngā kōrero tuku iho tēnā ro atu koutou. Ki ngā kai tuhi, ngā kai tautoko, me ngā kai pānui, ngā mihi nui ki a koutou katoa nau mai, hara mai. Hiuri tēnei no taranaki whānui, ko Ngāti Mutunga, te iwi, ko Ngaitahu hoki, ko Miriama Kamo, tōku inga wana, reire tiwi tēnei te mihi nui ki a koutou. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā ra koutou, katoa. Oi te whānau, welcome to the Ockham New Zealand Book Awards. This is our 58th year of awarding writers and their incredible works. Since 1968, we have been celebrated, we've been supported, sometimes we've been on life support, and we have endured. 58 years of doing something that must be done, and that is to celebrate those who add to our literary canon. Now, someone who is currently attempting to write her first book for grown-ups, I am in awe of our writers. Sure, they're here as finalists, but they had already done something massive, and that is to actually finish their books. Yeah, mostly I seem to be moving around commas and deleting paragraphs and eating toast. That's not true, Margaret HarperCollins. I'm making great progress. Tonight we celebrate those who have taken the mess and murmurs and shaped them into something lasting. Stories that carry us down unfamiliar roads into other lives and sometimes deeper into our own lives. So tonight we celebrate those who sit alone with uncertainty and drafts and deadlines, the poets who distill entire worlds into a handful of richly rendered and robust lines, the historians who peel back veneer and recover truth, the storytellers who make us laugh, grieve, rage, and remember. So tonight isn't just about prizes, although they are nice. It is also about celebrating imagination, courage, resilience, and the reo of Aotearoa. So to all of our finalists, congratulations. To writers and to everyone who keeps literature alive in this country, from librarians to booksellers, teachers to readers, tēnā rā koutou, katoa, paki paki mai. So just a couple of housekeeping notes. In an emergency, of course, walk, don't run. The doors to leave by are clearly marked. Please take this moment to turn off your phones or put them on silent. And also, can we please acknowledge the Ben Fernandez trio who are here to accompany us throughout the evening. Ngā mihi te whānau. Before we get our awards presentations underway, we have two speakers. The Honourable Paul Goldsmith, Minister for Arts, Culture and Heritage, will join us soon. But before that, the Chair of the New Zealand Book Awards Trust, Te Ohu Tiaki Te Rauhiringa, will address us, so please welcome Nicola Leggett to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, special guests, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. On behalf of my fellow trustees, I am extremely delighted to welcome you all to the 2026 Ockham New Zealand Book Awards. Welcome to those watching on live stream, and a very warm welcome to the special guests here with us tonight, including the Minister for Arts, Culture and Heritage, Honourable Paul Goldsmith, the Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, Carmel Sepuloni, the Deputy Mayor of Auckland, Desley Simpson, the Chief Executive of Creative New Zealand, Gretchen LaRoche, the Chair of the Auckland Writers' Festival Trust, Charlotte McLaughlin, her fellow trustees and festival patrons, and the representatives of the many dedicated leadership organisations in our book sector, the Publishers Association, the Coalition for Books, the New Zealand Society of Authors, Read New Zealand, Booksellers Aotearoa, Lianza, and many more. A huge welcome and enormous thanks go to our funders and partners, all of whom have been our allies for many, many years. First, Ockham Residential, our much cherished major funding partner. The Acorn Foundation, representing the legacy of the late marvellous Jann Medlicott. Creative New Zealand, our sustaining funder for decades. BookHub, the go-to place to find New Zealand books, an initiative of Booksellers Aotearoa New Zealand. Mary and Peter Biggs, lovers of poetry and fresh from another rip-roaring Featherston Booktown Festival. And the Mātātuhi Foundation, the philanthropic outreach of the Auckland Writers' Festival. Between them, all these funders have made it possible for us to award $125,000 in prizes tonight. I also acknowledge the important financial support provided to the Book Awards Trust by the Ockham Collective, the charitable trust set up by Ockham's founders to foster creativity and connection in Tamaki Makaurau. We are also grateful to the Academy of New Zealand Literature for its considerable in-kind support of these awards. It's a major gesture to hold steadfast to supporting the arts in challenging times, and our thanks to you all are heartfelt. My deep personal thanks go to the Book Awards Trust, Belinda Cook, and our awards administrator, Chris Chan, and huge thanks to tonight's production crew. Finally, I'd like to thank the Auckland Writers' Festival, both its board and its staff, under whose umbrella we gratefully nestle for this awards night, and which so generously programs our finalists in the days to come. And so, to tonight's Best First Book winners and category finalists, fantastic authors who each demonstrate the cultural energy and depth that great books contain. Congratulations, and category finalists, we are so looking forward to hearing you read to us from your books tonight. As ever, we salute your publishers and also the booksellers who put your books into readers' hands. That's a mission, an act of cultural keeping faith. The average attention span for a social media video clip is now 7 seconds, I am informed, but not for this sector. Ours is a world of marathon runners, with a multitude of editors, proofreaders, designers, photographers, indexers, publicists, sales reps and distributors working as a support crew for every author. Readers are the beneficiaries of that collective commitment to seeing a writer succeed, just as these writers are the beneficiaries. I also want to recognise the producers, book pages editors, reviewers and festival directors who have shone the light of attention on all these books in the last year. You too are so critical. And then I must, of course, say thank you to our 12 heroic judges who last September started with 178 entries and who have read thousands upon thousands of words and engaged in deep discussion with each other to select the 4 winners, plus the 4 Best First Book winners announced tonight. They are Philip Matthews, Georgina Tuari-Stewart, and Dan Salmon for General Non-Fiction, Darren Kamali, Jordan Hamill, and Claudia Jardine for Poetry, Lauren Gutzel, Natalie Robertson, and Rebecca White for Illustrated Non-Fiction, and Craig Cliff, Alison Wong, and Melissa Oliver for Fiction. Thank you all. Thanks also to this year's International Fiction Judge, Leslie Hurtig, Director of the Vancouver Writers' Festival, who will be just that bit more knowledgeable about our literature as a result. And right now, I think we especially treasure our Canadian friends. And to Hone Morris, who judged this year's Te Mūrau o Te Tuhi Award, Ngā mihi nui kia koe e Hone. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me now in a round of applause and appreciation of the judges' epic task. He te whānau, it is now my pleasure to welcome to the stage the Minister for Arts, Culture and Heritage, Paul Goldsmith. Minister, thank you for finding the time to be with us tonight. Welcome, and we look forward to your remarks.
Good evening, everybody. To Ngāti Whātua, tēnei tāku mihi atu kia koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Look, thank you very much for the invitation to be here, and I wanted to start by acknowledging, of course, all the authors who we are acknowledging this evening and their families who no doubt are here. Writing can be a solitary existence at times, and so it's wonderful for a broader live audience to acknowledge your work and your efforts. Also the sponsors, and it's lovely to see down the bottom there in the bronze Judith Binney Trust. That's the first I came across. She was my supervisor at university, and very terrifying in that respect, but it's good to see her legacy living on. And to the judges and everybody involved in what is a celebration of writing, thank you very much for the opportunity to say a few words. This is a favourite period of the year for me. I read as many of these as the finalists as I can, which is a nice break from reading about other things that come across my desk. And I've acquired a few very useful lines. I want to thank Eric Kennedy for his perfect summation of the news. quote, an acrid, tacky sap that sticks together the days. I thought that was rather good, so I want to acknowledge that. Sam Mann, I thought, came up with some wonderful comments. The best ideas come like cats. They come in their own sweet time. And I thought that resonated with me. Most of my best ideas come when I'm walking the dog, and so I thought that was very good. But in essence, I suppose I should acknowledge Jacinda Ardern and her efforts. So I thought I might as well go the whole hog, and I got her to read it to me on Spotify, which was a great experience. Until I got to about the 2020 election, and then I got a little note came across and said, sorry, your month allowance for audio books has expired. And so I never got to the end. I don't know what happened. Who knows? So here we are. We're celebrating, obviously, excellence, creativity, the craft, the exploration of national identity and culture, strong critique, a culture that can cope with strong critique, which is something that I think is worth celebrating. I'm sure there will be speeches this evening, and sometimes there's a little bit of critique of the government, which is fair enough. But one thing that we can agree on, I think, tonight is that we all want to see more Kiwis reading our books, and we all contribute to that in different ways. The government, of course, at the very most basic level, focusing on getting kids to actually go to school, and so that's good. Through Creative New Zealand and all the funding that is provided and continues to be provided by the people of New Zealand, we continue that to the best that we can. And of course, it's for the authors here to draw in and entice new readers with the quality of their writing and the beautiful, the style of the presentation in many ways. So, wonderful opportunity to celebrate writing and authors this evening, and thank you very much to be able to be a part of that. Thank you very much.
Ngā mihi Minister Goldsmith and tēnā koe Nicola. Okay, everyone, let's get to our first awards of the evening. The Mātātuhi Foundation Best First Book Award. So these prizes, each named for a distinguished New Zealand writer, have played an important role in our literary whakapapa, some for more than 8 decades. They recognise a work of quality from an author for whom the entry is their first published book in any genre. We are very grateful to the Mātātuhi Foundation and outreach of the Auckland Writers' Festival Trust for its commitment to these significant awards, which over the years have launched so many writers' careers. So let's invite Mātātuhi Foundation Trustee Paula Morris to the stage to congratulate the winners. All right, each Best First Book winner tonight receives a prize of $3,000 and a 12-month membership to the New Zealand Society of Authors, Te Punikaituhi or Aotearoa. So winners, when I announce your name, please come directly to the centre of the stage with your publisher to receive your award from Paula. Take your moment so you can have a group picture taken by tonight's photographer, Lyndon Kartene. And then we'll ask you to move over to the lectern over here, left lectern, to make a short speech. The Mātātuhi Best First Book Awards are presented in this order. So general non-fiction, poetry, illustrated non-fiction, and fiction. So, here we go. I am delighted to announce that the 2026 winner of the E.H. McCormick Prize for General Non-Fiction is Dame Jacinda Ardern for A Different Kind of Power, published by Penguin Random House. Now, as we know, a long-standing work commitment in Australia, I mean, do they have to be Aussie of all the countries? That's where she is, has prevented Dame Jacinda from attending the ceremony. And it's not like a tease. It's not going to be like last year where Damien Wilkins sprang out into the stage. She really is not going to be here. But we are so very happy that her proud sister is here. So please welcome Louise Ardern along with Grace Thomas of Penguin Random House.
Thank you. I'm not sure how many of the Ockham Awards I've been lucky enough to attend, enough to know how special they are and to feel deeply sorry that I'm not with you for this one. I feel very humbled to receive this acknowledgement, but as lonely as the act of writing can feel, especially as a new writer, I was never really alone. I had a set of patient, thoughtful editors in Penguin Random House here in New Zealand, alongside Penguin in Australia, Crown in the United States, and Macmillan in the UK. And amazingly, all those different perspectives were a blessing rather than a curse. A credit to the people offering them. So thank you, Grace, Claire, Meredith, Mike, and Gillian, and an extra special thank you to Becky Innes here at home. But as a new writer who had a background in writing manifestos and speeches, it's fair to say I needed some help with those less transferable skills. Thank you, Ali Benjamin, and of course to my family for being so supportive, patient, and generous during this often collective endeavour. My final thanks, though, go to everyone who took a leap of faith and bought a politician's memoir. I hope this memoir felt as much a New Zealand story as it was my story. And if its existence in the world means that just one reader goes on to pick up the baton of leadership or of politics, then it would have all been worth it. Thank you.
Ngā mihi, Louise. Oh, how proud you must be. The judges say that while good political memoirs and biographies are rare in Aotearoa, a different kind of power is exceptional. The former Prime Minister's thoughtful and rewarding account sheds important light on her years in office and on a Kiwi childhood that somehow inadvertently prepared her for the rigours of leadership. The former Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, has asked that any prize money she may win tonight be donated to reading advocacy organisation Read NZ Te Mūrau. So, big round of applause, please, for Dame Jacinda Ardern. Our next Best First Book winner, the 2026 recipient of the Jessie Mackay Prize for Poetry is Sophie van Voordenberg. Sophie's book, No Good, is published by Auckland University Press. The judges say Sophie's honed ability to hold the reader's focus in her debut collection is impossible to ignore. The poet shares her insights on grief, love and friendship with generosity and makes the work of editing look effortless. Now here's an extra reason to read it. The judges say No Good reads like a stupefying kiss. Over to you, Sophie.
Yeah, thank you. I did a bad job and just wrote some really mad bullet points. The first one says, thank you to everyone who has ever been nice to me. I appreciate it. It's a little glib. Thank you to everyone who's ever taught me, including Paula and some people here tonight. I think teachers are incredible. Even the teacher that I once had that said, poetry's not really your thing. I appreciated that. Thank you to my mum and thank you to my dad. Thank you to, thank you to whoever made it happen that I had the chance to mess around and write a whole lot of nonsense and bad stuff to get it out of the way so that hopefully this book was a little better than the nonsense. I think that's a miracle, and I think everyone deserves that chance. Why should I be special to get that? So I think there's not enough time these days. No one has enough time, and I feel so lucky to have had that time and to write my little book. So thank you so much.
To think that a teacher would say that your poetry, that wasn't your thing. That just amazes me. I remember an art teacher saying to me once, there are some people who just love art and others who just love to be in the art room. And while I went on to prove the point, you did not. Well done, Sophie. Another round of applause. All right, the 2026 winner of the Judith Binney Prize for Illustrated Non-Fiction is Philip Garnick-Jones for He Puawai, A Natural History of New Zealand Flowers, published by Auckland University Press. Built out of a career dedicated to research and scientific discovery, the judges say He Puawai, A Natural History of New Zealand Flowers, cements Philip Garnick-Jones as one of the country's leading botanists. Detailed, accessible, and stunningly beautiful in its design, his first book is a celebration of scholarship and the power of stereoscopic photography. I had to pause before I reached stereoscopic. Managed to get it out. Over to you, Philip. Congratulations.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you so much to the organisers and the judges and the sponsors tonight. The first book award is to launch your career. I'm 76. So thank you to the opportunity to launch my new career as a writer. And yes, I wrote the words and I took the photographs, but it was the lovely team at Auckland University Press who turned it into a book. I handed over a USB stick with words and images on, and what came back was, well, it's a beautiful book, and I thank them for that. Sam Elworthy has supported this project for a long time, from its early days. Katharina Bauer and Sophia Broom, who put it all together, Lauren Donald and Connie Brown, who handled marketing and publicity, and Jane Connor and Louise Belcher for their superb editing and checking. And I especially want to thank extraordinary designer Duncan Munro, who's transformed my words and photographs into this beautiful book. Aroha nui to all my colleagues and friends and family, especially to Sabrina, who've been cheering it along all the way. Ngā mihi kia koutou katoa. Thank you all.
Well done to you, Philip. And now to our final Best First Book Award. The 2026 winner of the Hubert Church Prize for Fiction is John Prince for Pastoral Care, published by Otago University Press. So the judges say that in John Prince's lively story collection, both men and women battle to balance domestic and work spheres, how they perceive themselves and how they act. Funny, assured, thoughtful, of the moment and of this place, Pastoral Care is a grand debut. Well done to you, John.
Kia ora koutou. Thank you, firstly. Thank you, Sue. The best publisher I could hope for, and thank you for initiating the Tauraka Landfall short story series. Your amazing team, Mel Stevens, Fiona Moffat and Meg Hamilton. Thank you Emma Neal for editing, Gavin Hipkins, thank you for the Blue Field. Thank you Paula Morris for launching Pastoral Care in so many ways, and to my MCW cohort. I'm grateful to the editors who published early versions of these stories, Emma Neal and Lily Edmeads at Landfall Tauraka and Steve Bronius at Newsroom. Watching at home, Mum, thank you. All those years ago you gave me Marley and Me and started this whole thing. Dad, thanks for taking me everywhere with you when I was little. My brother and sister Laura and Glenn, thank you, I love you. And Katie, I love how huge our little life feels. And thank you for everything. Without you, none of this happened. So thanks. And I hope everyone has a great night. Thank you.
whakamihi. Congratulations to all of our Best First Book Award winners, and a big thanks to the Mātātuhi Foundation for your support of these debut writers, and of course to Trustee Paula Morris. Now, this year, we are honoured to be presenting Te Mūrau o Te Tuhi. Now, this is a discretionary award given to a book written entirely and originally in Te Reo Māori. The recipient of Te Mūrau o Te Tuhi will receive $12,000. So please, welcome to the stage our Reo Māori judge Hone Morris, who will announce the 2026 recipient, and Chief Executive of Creative New Zealand, Gretchen LaRoche, who will present the award.
Tēnā tātou ki te whare. Mihi atu ki te whare, nāna nei, Kiri te Kanawa, ka mihi atu ki ae te Māori kura, te kahurangi. O te anō tātou, kua rāpopoto nei i tēnei pō, tēnei te mihi atu. Ki te hunga kai tautoko, mihi atu, kua kōrero tia rātou ingoa. Huri atu ki a koutou, o tēnei koutou, te hau kāinga, nā te whātua ki o rākei, ina tā koutou. Kia whirihia tēnei me te honanga tā ngāngai. Nō rei te tātou. Tēnei tohu. Te tohu, te mūrau o te tuhi. E ara tēnei tohu i te tai tohu, hei whakatau noiho i te kaunga o te tuitui. E hara. Engari he tohu he whakaatu mai i te hiranga o te tui. He tohu whakarangatira i te ngākau tapatahi. Tērā ngākau hāpai tunu ana i te hā o te reo Māori. Ko ngā kupu huatau i puta mai i te mātārai o te kai tuhi. Mai te mātārai ki te mata o te ārero, mai te mata o te ārero, ki te mata o te pene. Nā reira, ko tēnei poka e tuhu ana tēnei tau, a tōna wā ka rau atu ki te pātaka Mātātuhi o Aotearoa, hei teko o te whare kōrero reo Māori. Ka tira e te whare, nōku te honore kia pānui atu ki te motu nei i tēnei kupu. Ko te tohu, te mūrau a te tuhi, mō tēnei tau e rua mano, e rua te kaumā ono, ka whakawhiwhia ki te tahi mumureo, ki te tahi pū wahapū, ki tā pau te mara, mō tana poka, te āhua o ngā kupu whakaare a te koti. Nau mai hara mai e tā. Ko te āhua o ngā kupu whakaare a te kōti, he mahi rangahau nui whakahire wānangana i te rētōtanga, te mana me te toi tūtanga o ngā kupu whakaare, me ngā whakatauki, me te hononga a ngākau ki te whakapono, ki te whenua, ki te hītori me te tangata. He mea whakariti te hanganga o te pukapuka nei ki te tahi tūpuna whare, hei arataki i te kai pānui. Mai te tuapapa o te whare ki tōna whatu manawa, e whakakiti ana te kupu tapu, mā te whakatauki, ngā kupu whakaare, ngā waiata, me ngā ingoa o ngā whare, nā te kōti rikirangi tūruki i tapa. E whakatu ana a tā pau, he tapu atua tō te reo porapiti. He maha o na paparangi tikanga a he kawenga matatika, kei rungi i te kawenga o aua kupu. Mā tēnei poka, ka whakarangatira te reo Māori, ka whakahoki i te mauri o te mātauranga Māori ka waiho he wāhi mā te kai pānui, hei whakaaro aro, hei wānanga. Ka mutu, ki au ki tōna ake mātauranga. Tēnā rau atu e te pāpa.
Tēnā koe e te rangatira e pāpanga mahi nui ki a koe. And just if you would like to hear the translation of the judge's remarks, Te Āhua o ngā kupu whakaaria te kōti is a significant scholarly work that examines the depth, authority and enduring power of kupu whakaaria and whakatauki and intimate connections to faith, land, history and people. Structured metaphorically as a whare tupuna, the book guides the reader from the foundations of the whare through to its heart, revealing the sacred nature of language through whakatauki, kupu whakaari, waiata and named houses of te kōti arikirangi, turiki. Tāpou te mara demonstrates how prophetic language conveys divine tapu, layered meaning and moral responsibility. This work enriches te reo Māori, restores the mauri of mātauranga Māori and creates space for readers to reflect, interpret and arrive at their own understandings. So a massive congratulations to the recipient of Te Mūrau o Te Tuhi, the Māori Language Award, Tāpou te mara, for Te Āhua o ngā kupu whakaaria te kōti, published by Auckland University Press, whakanuia e te whānau mo te rangatira.
E te iwi, tēnā koutou. Tēnā rā koutou I rungi te karanga o tēnei hui whakahirehira mo te rōpū kaituhi. Te tuatahi, ki au koutou te ahi kā o tēnei rohe o tēne mā tēnā hoki koutou. Ki au koutou ngā kārangaranga maha o tēnā rohe o tēnā mora o tēnā kāinga, kai te mihi, kai te mihi, kai te mihi. Kia koutou ngā hoa Pākehā, ngā kaituhi, tēnā koutou. Nō reira, tēnā tātou. It's a great honour for me to make a few remarks on behalf of Professor Supau Temara this evening. Te Kōti was an enigmatic and influential 19th century Māori leader who left, amongst other things, a proud legacy of waiata, wharenui, and kupu whakaari, or prophetic sayings. He came to prominence during the turbulent land wars era of the 1860s and 1870s, imprisoned without trial on the Chatham Islands for over 2 years. He then carved a pathway to Te Rohe Pōtai, the King Country. Along the way, he became a Bin Laden figure for the time. In short, Te Kōti's impact on the colonial New Zealand landscape was significant. A warrior in the house of Tū Mātaunga, yet to the Hāhiringa Tū, the Ringatū Church, its founding prophet and guide who professed peace and cooperation. Now, the kupu whakaari, one of the questions Supau asks in his book is, are Te Kōti's words being fulfilled? Do they still live today? How do they impact our lives? From a legal point of view, I make the following two observations. The last president of the New Zealand Law Society, Fraser Barton, included in his 2025 report Te Kōti's kupu whakaari regarding the law. Ko te waka hei hoi hoinga mō koutou, I muri ahau ko te ture, mā te ture anō te ture e aki. The canoe for you to paddle after me is the law, for only the law can be pitched against the law. That same year, the Governor-General, in an address to the Pacific Legal Forum, cited another kupu whakaari of Te Kōti. He kuhu au ki te ture, hei matua mō te pani. I seek the shelter of the law, for it is a parent to the oppressed. In this way, the prophetic sayings have remained timeless to his traditional communities. With this book and this award, that audience becomes even wider. Finally, Supau would like to acknowledge all of the finalists, Auckland University Press, the sponsors of the award, the judging panel, and everyone, whānau and friends who contributed to this endeavour, past and present. He is very humbled and honoured to be included in this event, and thanks you all for the privilege. Kia ora.
Ockham.
Ngā mihi nui kia koe e Justice Lane Stevens, mō tō mihi ki te mātua, ki te rangatira tau tēmara. Tēnei te mihi nui kia kōroa. Papapau, tēnā koe mō tō angi tū nui, kua roa koe whakatō ana i ngā kākano te reo me ngā tikanga Māori ki roto i ngā whakatipuranga maha. Ko ngā kuputuku iho no ngā tupuna kua kawi e koe ki te ao marama, no reira i tika ana ki a whakanui a koe i tēnei pō no mātai te honore, ngā mihi anō, paki mai anō e te whānau. So now it's time to move into our 4 category awards. For each of these, we will welcome our finalists to the stage to read from their books. Following that, the convener of judges for the category will come to the stage to announce the winner, and I will read the citation. So writers, if your name is announced as the winner, please return to the stage with your publisher. The General Non-Fiction Award is presented to a book of outstanding literary merit that offers rich insights into the culture and society of Aotearoa through storytelling, history, biography, memoir, personal essay and more. So let's welcome the 2026 General Non-Fiction finalists to the stage. Jacinda Ardern for A Different Kind of Power, published by Penguin Random House. As you know, Dame Jacinda is unable to join us in person tonight, but she has recorded her reading for the big screen. We'll also ask Naomi Arnold for Northbound 4 Seasons of Solitude, Aotearoa, published by HarperCollins Aotearoa New Zealand, to come to the stage. Well done, Naomi. Come on forward. Peter Carey for The Hollows Boys, a story of 3 brothers in the Fiordland deer recovery era, published by Potton and Burton. And Tina Makareti for This Compulsion in Us, published by Te Herenga Waka University Press. So we're going to start our readings, as I mentioned, with a recording from Dame Jacinda Ardern. How could I get that wrong? Paki ma.
I never stopped visiting schools when I became Prime Minister. In fact, it was one of the most consistent things I did as a politician. And when the opportunity arose, I would still go through the same exercise with students on leadership that I always had, asking them the same question: what does a politician look like? I did this exercise dozens of times through the years. I would ask the students to tell me what they physically saw, as well as what they heard. The words that would come flying sometimes broke my heart: selfish, old, untrustworthy, liar, bald. It was never lost on me that there I was, a politician, standing in front of students and asking them to describe one, only to have them describe traits that I thought belonged to someone else. But that was my point. I was trying to explore our underlying assumptions, to show that sometimes we think that jobs or roles require you to have certain traits or ways of being, and maybe that was something we should challenge. On one such school visit, this time on a marae, I put the same question to a group of young people, maybe 15 or 16 years old, sitting on the floor in front of me. What does a politician look like? For the first time, I noticed some differences. The word woman was used for starters. Not all of the traits were those of A-type personalities either. I saw a young woman in the front slowly, tentatively raise her hand. I gestured to her, and she lowered her hand back to her lap. She sat forward a little bit as she offered me a word that in all these years no student ever had. Kind, she said. I think politicians can be kind.
Good evening, everyone. This reading comes from kilometre 700 on Te Araroa, somewhere in the middle of Canterbury. I was faster now, my strides coming as easy as a metronome, as though they were ancient knowledge, which they were. My lower back no longer hurt, but instead gnawed a hole through the pack fabric. I thought of my skeleton, ligaments, tendons, muscles flexing, my foot pushing down and through, rolling off my big toe. I thought of the similar skeletons of my ancestors doing the same thing for millions of years, each of them living long enough to produce the next ancestor, enough of them that I had arrived here to walk these hills north. I tramped 240 kilometres over mountains and down valleys in those 13 days, across worn hills flocked bronze with tussock, up scree slopes and down the length of rivers, from left bank to right bank and through the middle, holding my poles loosely and stepping quickly across hot boulders, wading deep pools and navigating shoals of gravel. Some rivers were choked with dirimo, some not yet infected. Some days my Achilles would be sore and walking in the cold rivers helped. I watched distant banks of cloud tipping over the ranges. They sometimes left patches of snow behind, but it was fine nearly every day. There was a drought and the rivers were low and the ground sounded like a hollow drum under my poles. I felt as though I was walking over an eggshell of earth that my pole might tap through and the whole thing would crack open and cave in. On a fence near a lake, a bird skeleton hung, bleached white, the bones of its foot caught in a twist of wire. I didn't need to sit down during the day anymore. I ate as I walked. I walked 33 kilometres in 9 hours straight. 34. My resting heart rate dropped to 41 beats per minute. My pack became an exoskeleton, its weight irrelevant, like the weight of my hair. Only when I took it off for the first time in 11 hours did I feel the extra lightness, the different sway in my stride. Thanks.
We had told our writers that they could just go up one after the other. It's just too awkward, isn't it? I need to actually announce you guys. So first of all, we had Jane, otherwise known by most people as Jane Jacinda Ardern. That, of course, was the amazing Naomi Arnold reading from Northbound, 4 Seasons of Solitude on Te Araroa. And now we have Peter Carey for The Hollows Boys, a story of 3 brothers in the Fiordland Deer Recovery era, published by Pottenham Burton.
Kia ora. This is an excerpt from the final chapter, chapter 23 of The Hollows Boys, or the rat bag boys as I call them. Heath Hollows is battling the cold and fog in Te Anau too, working when he can, caring for his 2 school-age kids. He arrives with a backpack full of photo albums. The images are either photographs his father, Gary, took of Dick, the super cub, or of Heath and his sister Justine as little kids, of helicopters, the jet boat, and the yellow submarine, of course. A few pages of images poured over, and Heath says, "The saddest part for me is not about Dad. Dad wouldn't have even known about it. It was all over in a split second for him. It's about Uncle Mark. He was the one left with it. The hardest part, the hardest thing to bear, is for those left behind." The 2 Hollows brothers, 2 who survived, 2 left behind. Gary is never far away, of course. As Mark says, I think about Gary every day. The roll call of those who didn't survive reads like the names carved into marble on the wall of a war memorial. No foreign fields here. In Fiordland, many of the pilots and shooters died on the side of a mountain or in a deeply forested valley they knew well. Every slip, clearing or area of river flats. If it could be seen, the view from their resting place was often magnificent, looking out over the alpine tundra of the tops or the blue-grey of the fields well below. A herd of red deer may well be edging out of the bush onto the open slips alongside, curious, wary, today hearing few machines, or at least rarely seeing them come close. Kim and Mark Hollows are not on that list. Two of the few old hands still alive and still flying, who are still here to tell the stories of an era in New Zealand history that will never be repeated, never seen again. Like the black and white films of yesteryear, the stories are there, the images are there, all stored in the archives. But as Kim says, no one knows.
Kanui te aroha, pita caring our mihi. And finally, Tina Makareti for this compulsion and as published by Te Herenga Waka University Press.
Tēnā koutou katoa. This book is partly about growing up in poverty, both material and cultural, and it's about how creativity has the potential to return power to the survivors of colonialism. The moment we are living through right now is one of great crisis and peril, perpetuated by the financial powers and governments of the world, including our own. But none of us get out of this unscathed unless we choose different. He aha te mea nui o te ao. He tangata, he tangata, he tangata. This is a brief essay called Funny Little Ugly Baby. She wants the world to be beautiful. She wants that angle of sunlight falling through trees just so on the dog. She wants all future dogs to be warmed by it. She wants mediocre men to discontinue their mediocre policies, lie down under trees and dream their infant selves back into the world. She wants to ask, how will you keep them sheltered? How will you feed them? Oh, but she wants to lie down too. She wants to never again be told how to be, how not to be, how to think, how not to think. She wants to never again be told how to Māori by Pākehā women who think they know. They don't know. She wants to go away and sit in temples that remind her that time is tall and her portion of it is short. She wants to catch trains and never smell petrol fumes again. She wants the toxic aunties to soften because there is nothing to be hard about anymore. She wants the aunties and her daughters and her sisters to be able to whāngai themselves back into existence as newborn babies, soft and gurgling, mouths wide open, spitting up the universe. Kia ora.
Kia ora te maraukiranga, mihi nui kia koe. And thank you to all of our authors for those readings. It's one thing to write it, it's another thing to stand up and read, to crack open your heart in front of everybody and share the mahi that you've done and the experiences that you have gone through or told. So let's have another round of applause, please, for our readers. Well, I now invite the convener of judges, Philip Matthews, to the stage to announce the winner, and Will Dale, CEO of our wonderful naming sponsor, Ockham Residential, to present the award.
Okay, before I announce the winner, some words about the category. There is an ongoing micro-debate within the New Zealand literary scene about general non-fiction. Is general too general? Can a hefty work of academic scholarship really be compared to a memoir or creative non-fiction? It's a big question, but the judges came down on the side of the generalists. This is a varied and possibly even overwhelming category, but we discovered it as a rich, healthy and rewarding one. We read 53 books of general non-fiction, and both the quality and the range was impressive. The best of the books were those that aimed for intelligent readability. The judges were conscious that this is a literature prize, and we wanted to honour books written for ordinary readers as well as specialists. I also want to acknowledge my fantastic fellow judges, Dan Salmon and Georgina Tuari-Stewart. We shared a great experience in the trenches of non-fiction, and we learned a lot. Finally, I'm very pleased to announce the winner of the General Non-Fiction Award is Tina Makariti for this Compulsion in Us.
So Tina Makareti is better known as a writer of fiction, and she uses her well-honed literary skills to advantage in this artful and skillfully curated collection of essays, adding up to an alternative memoir of one person's discoveries about her whakapapa and childhood family and her place in national society and within Māori literature. The linked essays build with a growing sense of connection as Makareti craftily balances the wider social context and her own fascinating life story. Complex yet universal, this Compulsion in Us is an honest, revealing and stimulating work, and a celebration of writing as a timeless way of experiencing and understanding the world and ourselves. Let's have another round of applause, please, for Tina Makareti.
Ko te mihi tuatahi he mihi ki tōku whānau, ko Lawrence Patchett taku hoa rangatira, ko kōtuku titihui a natau, te he. Rawa ko Aquila Meriwetiko Underwood, ngā tamahine toa, te whānau Skipper, me te whānau Patchett, ko Deirdre Dalberg, tōku tuakana, ko Olivia Simpson hoki, he mihi aroha ki oku mātua, ko David, ko Ravel, rātou ko Warren. Thank goodness I wrote something down. This mahi would be out of the question without Laurie, so extra special thanks to him for incredible support over the years. Thanks also to Herenga Waka Press. Thank you for making a beautiful book that we can be proud of, and all the other publishers who have published my essays over the years that I collected here. This is a book about connection and what happens to us when we forget who we really are. It's a book about whakapapa and learning how to really live. I'm incredibly grateful to the judges, the organisers and the sponsors for the recognition of this award. Truly, it means so much to me. But I couldn't stand on a stage and not acknowledge what is actually happening in the world right now and how we're connected to it. So I will end with an acknowledgement of the life force in all of us, and in doing so acknowledge particularly those under persecution and attack in the world today. Tihei Māori ora.
Ka mihi nui kia Tina Makareti. Te tō te tohu, general non-fiction mo tēnei tau a ngā mihi hoki kia Philip Matthews rawa ko Will Dale. Another round of applause please for Tina Makareti. So we now come to the celebration of our poets. As has regularly been the case in recent years, new voices are strongly represented on the 2026 shortlist alongside some of our most established and respected poets, demonstrating the strength, vitality and range of the special sector of our literature. The winners of the 2026 Mary and Peter Biggs Award for Poetry receives a prize of $12,000. I am delighted to invite our poetry finalists to the stage. They are Ngā Whanua Purcell Kurzel for Black Sugarcane, published by Te Herenga Waka University Press. Sophie Van Wardenberg for No Good, published by Auckland University Press. Eric Kennedy for Sick Power Trip, published by Te Herenga Waka University Press. And Anna Jackson for Terrier Warrior, a poem in 5 parts, published by Auckland University Press. So we'll start our poetry readings and we'll ask Ngā Whanua Purcell Kurzel, please, to start us off. Ngā mihi.
Mauri ora e te whānau. I'm going to read one poem. It's the poem that the book is named after. Black sugarcane is a remedy for centipede stings. A piece of sugarcane takes hold inside my mouth, throws it back to first sounds. My teeth tear fibres, my staunched language a moan. My sugared tongue loosens syruped vowels. Did you hear that? My sugar prickles at the sound of a centipede hunting, my sweetness braced for the slap of stung skin. Every sina from Samoa has bitten skin. Welts like visa rejection stamps, one for every time she fobs out, uses the wrong tense, or forgets what language she's chewed by. See, the syrup is no longer sweet. The syrup is choked back skin like the cane's inedible black ripped off and spat out. Every time I talk barefoot, I get stung. So I camo talk 100-fold like them who crawl, drawl and talk good sting. I cut my tongue 26 ways, swallow my sugar and still get stung. On my words, my worlds, my tongue's tense, still. All I have is a mouthful, venom and sugarcane. No hard warrior stance like thee, Ngā Whanua. I'm just some dust off the ocean. A soft warrior. I'm Nua no myth, speaking in centipede with a sweet hiding in the dark of my cheek. Yangale. The centipede is punch drunk. The sting I coat with sugar.
That is a poem from Black Sugarcane. We now have Sophie Van Wardenberg reading from No Good.
Poem in which I am good. Everything will be good. And the trousers I left to blow in the wind and rain and lemon leaves, them too. The linen will keep its soft batching. The hamsters I saw on the internet are certainly alive still, though the video was taken years ago. Everybody I love will live forever. Everybody I love will love me. My shoes are clean and comfortable. My body does not matter. Everybody's toes fall off in the winter, and nobody smells perfect, even if they're Claudia Schiffer, and everyone forgets to cut their nails. See that girl there? I know that she is perfect. I know, therefore, that I am perfect. I am a comma in a sea of them. I am a tennis ball in a field of them. I am ready to be chosen. I am ready to be left. I am ready to be taken into space and tucked into an asteroid belt until I reach the morning. All the large rocks will know my name. I could be good at so many things. I am loud in the car park and in the bird park and in certain beds, and this is good. I am good and loud. All the dead people in my life watch me with vested interest. They hold my arms over my face to save me from the rain. I walk with purpose, and I smell so, so good. I am full to my fingers of lettuce and iced water. In summer, when I picked dandelions for the geriatric guinea pig, I changed the world. I killed a weed. I filled a mouth with gold. I made the joints of Sandringham click like a neck to loosen in a satisfying and healthy way. I am kind. I am that kind of person. What do I deserve? The same as all of us. Everything. Everybody I love will live forever. Everybody I love will live forever.
Beautiful, Sophie. Now we have Eric Kennedy for Sick Power Trip.
Tēnā koutou katoa. This is a poem called DARVO, which is an acronym that stands for Deny, Attack, Reverse Victim and Offender. And it's a strategy used by abusers, whether individuals or organizations or sometimes countries. DARVO. The most powerful forces in the universe are the strong nuclear force, the electromagnetic force, and the need terrible people have to believe that they are the victims. The sun never sets on the empire of grievances. The analysts who bomb apartment buildings say they have their reasons. It's bullying to dox dog kickers, according to the Society for Kicking Dogs. Tom Fairweather pushed me off the top of the slide, and I broke my arm, alas. I later learned that it upset him to see my arm like that. Sorry, I'm trying to fix it. The bone set straight many years ago, but to Tom, it will always be sickening and wonky, wonkening and sicky and bent out of plumb, an affront to true direction and a bad memory of an arm, a naughty arm. Even healed, my arm to Tom is a reminder of a bad time in his life, the way flowers remind some people of funerals.
Bloody brilliant. Thank you, Eric. I am delighted to invite our final poetry finalist to read. Anna Jackson for Terrier Warrior, a poem in 5 parts.
Thank you. Tēnā koutou katoa. This summer, I kept dreaming about a terrier. It was not a recurring dream, but a recurring terrier that appeared in dream after dream, often needing to be released from somewhere it was trapped. It did seem as if my unconscious was hard at work trying to tell me something I was repeatedly failing to grasp. I thought a terrier is a good symbol for the work of digging up something underground but still alive. I wondered whether I could hear terrier as a version of the word warrior. A warrior being not someone who makes you worry, but someone who themselves worries, who worries away at things like a terrier worries away at a sock. A terrier would be someone who allows themselves actually to indulge in the feeling of terror. I tell myself I am not okay, but I will be okay, but maybe I need to stop saying that and release the terror. Or maybe the terrier is not myself, but represents someone else's terror, which needs to be heard. I thought it tells us something about poetry,
that when we need to talk to ourselves about something we don't know we know, we tell it to ourselves when we are asleep. In images we struggle to remember when we awake, and often take more than one reading to fully understand. Thank you.
Ngā mihi, thank you to all of our poets. What amazing works you have come up with. It is just such a delight to hear them this evening. Please, let's have another round of applause. And we're going to welcome to the stage the convener of judges, Darren Kamali, to announce the winner. He is accompanied by our much-loved, long-standing award sponsors, Mary and Peter Biggs, who will present the award.
Kia ora, ni Sambulu Vinaka, everyone. Tonight we celebrate another extraordinary year for Aotearoa New Zealand poetry, full of remarkable new and established voices. First, though, I would like to acknowledge my fellow judges, Claudia Hertz Jardine and Jordan Hamill. Together, we undertook the joyful yet formidable task of selecting the long list and our finalists from 39 entries for the Mary and Peter Biggs Award for Poetry 2026. The depth, courage, and innovation across submissions made every decision both difficult and deeply rewarding. And we salute the 4 collections of literary excellence that made our shortlist this year. All extremely well written, edited, researched, and versed on the pages. In the end, our decision came down to a work of resonance, strength, and unforgettable poetic vision. I am pleased to announce the 2026 winner of the Mary and Peter Biggs Award for this poetry is Manuelava Nafanua Purcell with a powerful first collection, Black Sugar Cane.
So Black Sugarcane is a work of rare linguistic grace and emotional precision, the judges said, a collection that transforms memory, land and inheritance into something both intimate and expansive. With a voice that is at once grounded and lyrical, the poet navigates histories of labour, migration and identity, distilling them into images that linger long after the page is turned. Each poem pulses with clarity, restraint and quiet power, revealing the extraordinary within the ordinary. The collection's careful architecture and tonal control mark it as a deeply considered achievement for debut author Nafanua Purcell Kurzel. Black Sugarcane not only enriches contemporary poetry but also expands its possibilities, offering a resonant, enduring contribution to the literary landscape today. Paki paki mai anō i te whānau.
Mahalo le soifua maua, ma le langi e mama. Well, life is weird. Is my imposter syndrome showing? I was going to leave my family till last because I thought I might cry, but I'm already there, so let's family first. Thank you to my ainga, my aunties and uncles, my cousins, but especially my grandmothers, Mum and Dad, and my brother watching at home, and my sisters watching from overseas, and Matt, and my children, Axel, Tawa, and Uli Masao. Thank you. Thank you for loving me in all the ways that I am, especially when I'm writing, because we go some places. My gratitude to Ockham Residential New Zealand Book Awards Trust, funders and partners, and so much respect to our judges, Darren, Claudia and Jordan. I don't know how you do it. I love to read poetry, but being able to do what you do is beyond me. Whawhataite le lava to Mary and Bigsy for the koha that comes with this tohu, and to me, you yourselves are the gift. To my fellow poets, those who were on the long list as well as the short list. Actually, anyone who is writing poetry, publishing poetry right now, thank you for your language and your courage. For me, publishing this book took an ample measure of courage, and lots and lots of people were there along the way to give me a little bit of their courage. Ngā mihi nui to Fergus, Ashley and Kiva at Te Herenga Waka University Press, as well as Always and Penny, and Momoi I Manu e Ala Atea e Taska, who is the cover artist. Thank you for making this book be and be real beautiful. The world feels super messy right now, and I hope we can all rest in a book, read and write some poetry. I think that's all. Mauri ora. Tuhi!
Congratulations to the 2026 winner of the Mary and Peter Biggs Award for Poetry, Ngā Nua Purcell Kurzell, and thank you also to Darren, Mary and Peter. I love that notion that we should rest in a book in this messy world. Books which help us make sense of it. Let's have another round of applause, please, for the amazing Ngā Nua Purcell Kurzell. So the BookHub Award for Illustrated Non-Fiction recognises books that marry impressive writing and research with outstanding visual content design and production values. This year's winner will receive a prize of $12,000. So please welcome the 2026 Illustrated Non-Fiction finalists to the stage. They are Charlotte MacDonald for Garrison World, Redcoat Soldiers in New Zealand and across the British Empire, published by Bridget Williams Books. Philip Garnick-Jones for He Puāwai, A Natural History of New Zealand Flowers, published by Auckland University Press. Sarah Farah for Mark Adams, A Survey, He Kohinga Whakahua, published by Massey University Press and Auckland Art Gallery Toi o Tāmaki. And Elizabeth Cox for Mr. Ward's Map, Victorian Wellington Street by Street, published by Massey University Press. Thank you all for joining us and being prepared to share your works with us. I'm going to ask now for Charlotte MacDonald to lead us off.
From the beginning. A narrow, steep, curving lane in New Plymouth runs from the base of Pukaka Marsland Hill, dropping down to meet the Huatoki stream before it flows through a culvert under what is now St Albans Street to the sea. This is Redcoat Lane. It's the shortest route from the flattened hill behind the city to the beach below. It takes its name from the British soldiers who arrived in Taranaki under steam and sail, disembarked from small boats to go ashore, wetting their feet as they clambered into the shallows, and marched up the hill to Marsland Barracks. From 1855 to 1870, the clomp of their boots up and down Redcoat Lane was part of the town's soundscape. Today, less than a block from where the Huatoki stream runs to the sea, Pukeariki, the Hill of Chiefs, New Plymouth's museum, research collection, library and information centre, is one of the city's prominent landmarks. In its stores and displays are brass buttons, mugs and elaborate plateware, pieces of uniform, rifles, muskets and pistols, a field gun, percussion caps, rum bottles and much more. All were part of the dense military world that occupied this ground. It was a place that clanked, that rang with metallic sounds, tin plates, gear bumping against a buckle, brass buttons scraping against a fence. The sounds were harsh, as is the history. Taranaki iwi were watchful and apprehensive as they saw large naval ships anchoring off New Plymouth, letting down small boats filled with redcoat soldiers. Descendants of those rangatira and their iwi inhabit Taranaki and Aotearoa today. These remain living and shared histories.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. We're going to ask now Philip Garnock-Jones for He Puāwai, A Natural History of New Zealand Flowers, to give us a reading on mihi.
Thank you. This is from the afterword. Because plants aren't mobile and have only limited sensory abilities, they need help to physically make contact with their mates. Some flowers harness wind or water. That's called abiotic pollination, but almost 90% make use of animals, biotic pollination. Sometimes as an honest, mutually beneficial transaction, but occasionally using exploitation through deceit. Since the evolution of flowers over 135 million years ago, pollination has become a central and essential biological process. Threats to the environment from pollution, habitat destruction and climate change challenge not just the continued existence of many plant, fungal and animal species, but also the complex interactions among them, including dispersal food webs, diseases, nutrition and pollination. From the plant's point of view, if they had one, pollination is just part of a process by which they reproduce. For pollinating insects and birds, flowers are a vital source of food. And for humans, pollination is essential for the production of many crops and other products we rely on. The major grain crops are wind-pollinated, so they're not dependent on pollinators, but the effects of climate change on abiotic pollination are little understood. When it comes to biotic pollination, there are already reports of sudden, worrying declines in the numbers of pollinating insects in many parts of the world. Native bees, flies and moths must compete for resources with introduced honeybees and bumblebees. Many might be in decline through introduced diseases, habitat loss and pesticide overuse. Pollinator decline is likely to affect our crops as well as many native plants. Understanding pollination and flower biology of both crops and wildflowers is essential to human well-being in an uncertain future. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip Garnock-Jones for He Puāwai. We now have Sarah Farrer from Mark Adams, a survey, He Kohinga Whakaahua. Looking forward to your reading. Thanks so much, Sarah.
In December 2000, the photographer Mark Adams was in London, staying at the home of Australian anthropologist Nicholas Thomas and his wife Annie Coombs while they were away travelling in the Pacific. Adams had a number of Northern Hemisphere projects underway, including tracing and photographing artworks of the Pacific in various European museum collections and even in the form of Samoan tatau on the skin of some Europeans themselves. He was planning to take some photographs at the Royal Observatory at Greenwich, south of London on the Thames. Greenwich is historically important at the point at which the prime meridian was fixed, the line of 0 degrees to which all the other lines of longitude refer. It is the home of Greenwich Mean Time, the system of timekeeping adopted as a global point of reference based on the local mean time at the observatory. As Adams later wrote, I started taking these photographs in the winter afternoon's declining light and finished in the dark. I had ordered a minicab from Shroud Green Road in Finsbury Park, having asked them to take me to Greenwich Park and wait for me for about 4 hours so I could take a series of photographs. They stopped near the gate to Greenwich Park, and Adams gave the driver a ticket to the nearby Maritime Museum. British Imperial History while you wait. He recalls being completely alone in the park, apart from a couple walking a dog. They appear like ghosts in one of the images. In Adams' 10-panel panoramic view of Greenwich, the Royal Observatory, Queen's House, and the National Maritime Museum are located at either end. The changing light over the length of the work reveals the counterclockwise movement of Adams' camera as the 360-degree view was taken. The result is an eerie and rather desolate scene with meandering paths, grand buildings in the distance, skeletal trees and leaden winter skies. But what does Greenwich represent to Adams? Why was a Pākehā artist from Aotearoa, New Zealand, drawn to photograph this particular site? In examining the visual evidence his panorama offers, we might ask if the work reflects Adams' own dead reckoning, to use the old sailor's term for calculating one's position and distance travelled. Is Greenwich perhaps a point of departure, the place from which Adams' oeuvre sets out and around which it orients itself? Conceptually, it could be considered the artist's own 0 degrees.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And we have Elizabeth Cox now from Mr. Ward's map, Victoria, Wellington Street by Street.
I had a lot of different maps and stories to choose from. And I decided to choose this one because it focused on children. Children are often left out of history. So map sheets 33 and 34 show Manners Street and the lower part of Cuba Street and the dense, messy and unplanned nature of Wellington in all its glory. These map sheets contain one of the main shopping areas of the city, a significant number of factories, workshops, restaurants, cafes, schools, churches, and dotted amongst it, many homes. One of these factories was the Wellington Biscuit and Confectionery Company on Farish Street, just off Manners Street, where biscuits constantly ran on trays dragged along by chains through its 45-foot long brick oven. This part of the factory was largely staffed by boys. The factory's 3 large boilers made lollies, toffee and caramel, and on the top story, girls were employed making chocolate creams and other delicacies. Like all factories at the time, it was a dangerous place. In 1897, a teenage boy working there died after falling into one of the sweet vats. 2 years later, a 16-year-old boy was injured when his arm was caught in an unfenced machine and crushed. Since there was no automatic care for victims of accidents or any free hospital care, his guardians tried to sue the biscuit company for damages and compensation. The company denied negligence, and he said he had no business putting his arm into that unfenced machine in the first place. The jury spent just 5 minutes deliberating before they decided in favour of the factory. The boy was given no compensation for his injuries. A more cheerful aspect to the factory was its practice of selling broken biscuits to local children on a Saturday morning. Boys and girls from the neighbourhood could be seen turning up to the factory on a Saturday with their pillowcases. Patrick, who had grown up nearby, remembered going to the factory in his childhood and watching the factory girl dealing with each applicant in turn, plunging a large scoop into an almighty bin, with all the waiting children gathered about to take their turn, watching anxiously to see what their harvest would be on this particular Saturday. Sometimes they just received wine biscuits, but on luckier days they'd get fancy biscuits, or even, best of all, a chocolate one. He described dozens of children wending homewards on their way up Cuba Street with their bulging pillow slips over their shoulders. Every few yards, he said, there would be a halt, with a rummage around for another biscuit, and then onward, munching happily.
Ngā mihi nui kia koutou katoa. What amazing works. They are incredible books that these writers have produced, proving that books aren't just words on a page. You know, they reach into history, they reach into heart, they reach into memory, and we are the benefactors of that. Let's have another round of applause, please, for all of our writers. So I now invite convener of judges Lauren Gutzel to the stage to announce the winner. She's joined by Chloe Blades, Deputy Chair of Booksellers Aotearoa New Zealand, who will present the award. Please, a round of applause.
Standing with my fellow judges, Natalie Robertson and Rebecca White, we heartily commend the writers, photographers, designers, archivists, publishers, editors, and the many other contributors that have brought these incredible books to life. I acknowledge Natalie and Rebecca for their commitment to this process and for their kindness through our open, honest, and robust discussions. Since receiving cartons of books, we have spent every day thinking about them. 34 entries became the 10 longlisted, to the 4 shortlisted, to this moment, the one winner. Throughout our deliberations, we have felt the weight of this decision. During this process, we prioritised scholarship, innovation, originality and legacy, carefully considering the crucial relationship between the text and the illustrative material. We were also seeking moments of joy and delight, the books that were a pleasure to read and experience, that challenged us, that opened up new ways of thinking, and those that stayed with us long after we finished reading them. I am very pleased to announce the winner of the BookHub Award for Illustrated Non-Fiction is Elizabeth Cox for Mr. Ward's Map.
Photos first, Elizabeth, while I read out the judges' comments for you. Innovative, engaging and inherently human, Mr. Ward's Maps is a celebration of research, storytelling and archives. Elizabeth Cox deployed one historic cartographic document as the foundation for a superbly written publication that bridges multiple worldviews and time periods, highlighting one source and how it resonates in the contemporary moment. Across 560 pages, Cox unpacks the 88 sheets of Mr. Ward's maps, alongside carefully selected archival photography and illustrations. While anchored in Victorian Wellington, Cox presents a range of complex issues and histories that have universal reach. This skillfully interweaves impacts of colonial land alienation on tangata whenua, reveals imbalances and intersectional experiences of race, class and gender, and offers a reflection of societal changes and what remains the same. It's an incredible achievement. Please, another round of applause for Elizabeth Cox.
Although I'm very starstruck to see all the people here that I don't know, I'm also very lucky to be in the same category as somebody that I do, Charlotte MacDonald, who supervised my master's thesis a couple of decades ago. She has a whole wall of theses of students like me in her office from all the history graduates she supported over the years, and I'm lucky to be one. And so I mihi to her and to Sarah and to Philip. Of course, in the same star category as my publisher, Nicola, who agreed to publish my book before I'd even properly pitched it to her, and who read draft chapters in the midst of all of her other work and over her holidays and weekends. Steve Bronius recently said that we need to give her a real honour at this ceremony, so I'm glad that I'm able to do that tonight. I really appreciate all her work and the work of Anna and Cadence and all of their colleagues at Massey University Press and my editor Emily Goldthorpe. Those of you who have seen the book or seen it up on the screen tonight, you will have admired the work of book designer Jo Bailey, who's here tonight. She is amazing, and I'm sure you agree that I've been very lucky to work with her. I wanted to say thank you to the people who look after the Thomas Ward map, which is the Wellington City Archives, and thank you very much to the judges and the New Zealand Book Awards and to the BookHub. Of course, I need to say thank you to my long-suffering family, the Cox and the Mitchell family, and to my Island Bay family, and especially, of course, Ethan, Liam and Peter. When I was writing this book, I didn't tell my son Ethan for a very long time that I was writing it, because during my last book, I made him promise to stop me from writing another book. And finally, I need to say thank you to Mr. Ward for making the map in the first place. Thank you.
Congratulations again to the 2026 winner of the BookHub Award for Illustrated Non-Fiction, Elizabeth Cox, and also thank you to Lauren and Chloe. Okay, now we come to the final award of the night, the Jann Medlicott Acorn Prize for Fiction. Now, this is named in memory of an extraordinarily generous benefactor who wanted to create an award that encouraged and rewarded our novelists and short story writers. At $65,000, it is the richest fiction writing prize in Aotearoa. So, I invite our 2026 fiction finalists to the stage. They are Ingrid Horrocks for All Her Lives, published by Te Herenga Waka University Press. Laura Vincent for Hood's Landing, published by Āporo Press. Sam Mann for How to Paint a Nude, published by Ugly Hill Press. And Catherine Chidgey for The Book of Guilt, published by Te Herenga Waka University Press. Lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for coming on stage to share your works with us. I'm going to ask, please, for Ingrid Horrocks to lead us off.
Kia ora koutou. This is from the opening story in this book. It's a book of short stories. And it's called Evie on Branch, and Evie has returned from overseas service in Europe in 1919 to the family farm and her brother Finn. Leaving the horses behind, she wandered on down to the stream and stepped bare-legged into the clear, cool water, felt it move in part around her toe and shins. She had missed the mountains, up the valley, the whole world of it. Standing here, she could believe this was still her place. But had she really imagined homecoming as a single moment, a bullet returned to the barrel, click? Homecoming was a slow wade in. It was a river bend you knew, pukeko shuffling about the woodpile. It was gathering your fingers to form a bowl and leaning to drink a handful of river water, tasting stone. It was coming back to the same clearing, but without your father, who had turned to dust. It was your brother sleeping with a stranger in your parents' bed, your mother already long gone. It was a new dog sniffling around your skirts. It was a new baby. It was wondering, what is this thing, Aunt? Is there room? Where was her other life, as imaginary as starlight? Tucking up her dress to free her hands, Evie managed to get a cigarette out of her pocket and light it. The first drag was a shock of pleasure, then trembling calm. When she glanced back towards the house, she saw Finn making his way over, his limp just visible, and the leggy pup leaping back and forth in front. She raised her hand and he waved back. He would have known to find her here. As he drew close, he called out, "You smoke now, Eve, since when?" She shrugged, picking her way back to the bank, her feet unused to the wobbling stones. "You want one?" She reached out to pass him her packet and matches. They stood together in silence, smoking and looking up the valley. When Evie turned back to him, he was watching her, amused, as she stood barefoot, cigarette in hand, a couple of curious sheep venturing close. "I should take a homecoming photograph of you," he said.
Kia ora, Ingrid. Next, from Hood's Landing, we have Laura Vincent with a reading.
Kia ora. Rita counted the dead. She showed up early for her appointment, not on purpose, didn't treat a trip to Auckland like an international passenger ship voyage the way her mum did. It just happened that way. And now Rita waited. She pointed at pictures in her magazine. Bags that chocolate cake, looks almost as good as mum's. Bags that car. Had one of her older sisters joined her on these stiff orange chairs, she might have raced them to claim these goodies. The eldest, Marlon, would say she didn't need anything, hypothetical or otherwise. Judy would target the dresses and makeup that Rita didn't give a stuff about, slapping the page. If Jane were there, Rita would point to the most preposterous celebrity she could find and say, "That's your boyfriend." And Jane would laugh like a goose with laryngitis. Cancer had killed at least 10 women from the village in Rita's lifetime. Maybe a normal quantity of women to die. Rita knew things, more than her sisters. She knew you couldn't expect to hear secrets in broad daylight. They came out later, after the dishes had been dried and put away, after the lights dimmed and Avery boiled the kettle. You might have to sit still through an episode of a TV show, fighting to stay awake. Only then, if you didn't draw attention to yourself, would you learn things. You might even tell people things. What did she know about the deaths? No more than she did the day each person died. She hadn't thought about the women like that before. As a grisly mass, it made her feel a bit guilty, only relevant now that their stories line up with hers. Rita considered the dead, shut her eyes, rolled their names around her brain, stacked each person in order like folded laundry, warm and crisp from the sun. She wondered how her name would sound amongst them. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. We have now Sam Mann for How to Paint a Nude.
Can you hear me okay? The smoke is a bit worrying. We have 2 minutes each to speak about our books. I'd like to give 30 seconds of mine to another writer, Arundhati Roy. I'd like to stand with her in saying that politics and art are indivisible. They must be. It's the job of the writer and the artist to hold governments to account. And if we don't, then we're just simply bit players in a circus for the absurd. The absurd being a government so intent on winning the favours of America and Israel that it turns us all into an accessory to murder. It has to be said. My protagonist in my book is from Belarus. He agrees with me entirely. He writes to me a soliloquy toward the end of the book. He says, as for your earthquake, Your broken bricks will become a feeding ground for the government's anonymous sponsors. It happens everywhere. Because the very best time to pick the public pocket is when the public is distracted. Disaster, a distant war, yacht races. If you give them endless entertainment, they won't look down and see the gutters are running with poison or that their children have begun to bleed from the ears. And if they do, then the government will set up a working party to make it all right. We thought George was running the mill, that without him it would die, but it was the other way around. The mill ran him. He was just like the rest of us, just fuel, his immense selfishness oiling the cogs, and now it has a new owner. And in the end, he knew that, didn't he? You saw it in his eyes. You see, the machine is all there is. It's eternal. It's more powerful than any of us, and it rips apart the shape of the land and turns us all into refugees. And when it is threatened, it turns to the government and it says, if you kill me, the people will starve. And so it makes its own rules. And we fall into lines that grinds away our lives, and we allow it because we can't think of a better way. And we can't think of a better way because we don't read anymore, because history is redacted, and because we didn't make the time to put our children on our knee and tell them a simple story about an old man lying by a river dreaming philosophies. And so we drift inevitably into this new dark age, but let's welcome it, Sambo. You and I will survive, because we need little more than old Kerensky's hut by the river, the little more being those two extraordinary inventions without which civilization could never have been created, a pencil and a piece of paper.
Thank you, Sam. And now we have Catherine Chidgey with a reading from the Book of Guilt.
Boys did die. If they failed to eat everything on their plates or failed to do morning exercise to keep their bodies strong, the bug could pick them off quick smart. It might start with a simple rash, a bit of an upset stomach, a swelling of the tongue, or a fluttering in the chest, and then lights out. We'd seen some boys lose all their hair. They looked like little old men. We had to be constantly on guard, our mothers told us. Even the wrong sort of attitude could set the bug running rampant inside us. If we did everything right, however, and managed to beat the bug for good, well, then we could go to the big house in Margate, like all the Sycamore boys and girls before us. Nobody knew how many floors it had. We'd heard that they just kept adding more, building higher and higher as necessary. We'd personally seen dozens of Captain Scott boys improving before our very eyes, the blood returning to their cheeks and lips, their ribby chests expanding, filling with the future. And if one boy began to get better, his siblings did too, because of their identical makeup. Twins, triplets, quadruplets, all recovering together. We asked them, what was the secret? How could we get better too? They shrugged as they packed their toothbrushes and polished their best shoes for the journey. You just had to believe, they said, which was very little help.
Thank you to all of you, our incredible writers, and for sharing with us this evening. Please welcome to the stage now the convener of judges, Craig Cliff, to announce the winner. He's joined by Campbell Higgins, Legacy Giving Manager of the Acorn Foundation, which administers the incredible legacy left by Jann Medlicott to fund this prize. Please, a round of applause.
Tēnā koutou. Ko te mihi tuatahi ki ngā mana whenua o tēnei rohi. On behalf of my fellow judges, Alison Wong and Melissa Oliver, let me exclaim, what a pleasure it was to read 52 works of homegrown fiction that were published last year. We had novels and collections of stories and novellas. We had humour and history, sci-fi and mystery, books from self-publishers, new presses and old stalwarts. Some of the covers were controversial. We all learnt a lot. Older writers tackled climate change. Younger writers dug into intergenerational trauma. Anyone who thinks they can pin down contemporary fiction in Aotearoa isn't reading widely enough. He toi whakaero, he mana tangata. As a panel, we struggled each time we needed to narrow the field. How to fit 12 into 10, 5 into 4, so much quality and so much depth. Leslie Hurtig joined us as the international judge once we had reached our shortlist. Tēnā koe, Leslie, if you're watching online. So we had 4 judges and 4 books. Initially, we each stumped for a different winner. That just speaks to the diversity and the quality of what we heard just before. After more discussion and a little bit of maths, one title did rise to the top, and it is one that we fully back as the winner. Nō reira, I am delighted to announce that the winner of the Jann Medlicott Acorn Prize for Fiction is Ingrid Horrocks for All Her Lives.
Well, the judges said poet, memoirist and scholar Ingrid Horrocks turns to fiction and crushes it. Across 9 elegant probing stories that range from the late 18th century to the unsettled present, from rural Wairarapa to icy Norwegian ports and rave culture Berlin, All Her Lives explores the shifting expectations and constraints of womanhood. Characters confront leaky rentals and sexual assault, join anti-nuclear and climate movements, all while seeking many forms of love. Sparks from one story and one generation ignite elsewhere in the book, illustrating how material conditions, freedoms and ideologies can be shaped for better or worse by our forebears. Emotionally intelligent and historically alert, this book is an outrageously good addition to the top shelf of New Zealand fiction. Please, another round of applause for Ingrid Horrocks.
Sorry, you can't really prepare for this, so thank you. Yeah, it's amazing to be up here again. It's been so moving hearing everyone else and thinking about the times we live in and the great grief and loss and pain that we are living with at the moment, and also the sense that these books, by giving us a longer, deeper view, can hold that up for us to see. They also made me think that they're made of the stuff of the beauty of this world, a world where people eat breakfast together, try to love one another, plant trees to bring birds back, go to parties, do the work of imagining a world that is different, better than the one we live in today. Thank you to the many, many people who have believed in me and my writing for so long. This one is fiction, but all my books and the other genres are just as important to me. Thank you to Te Heranga Waka, who has backed me from when I was 20. I'm now 50. This is the fiction book. Fergus, took a while. Fergus has been there from the very beginning, from my first published short story. So, ngā mihi Fergus. Jasmine, my amazing editor, who brought this book through with me. Thank you to my family, and a special wave out to my beloved family at home in Wellington. Thank you to my friends. This book is dedicated to my friends, and it's dedicated to my mother. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations to the 2026 winner of the Jann Medlicott Acorn Prize for Fiction, Ingrid Horrocks, and ngā mihi Craig and Campbell. Keep the applause going e te whānau. Ingrid Horrocks, well done to you. So that brings our awards presentation to an end, but I'd like now to invite Mark Todd, co-founder of Ockham Residential, the award's beloved naming sponsor for more than a decade, to the stage to say a few words. Whaki mai.
Thank you very much. It's a real honour to be here. I think this is our 11th year, and it truly is a pleasure and an absolute excellent and honour to be here. I was going to say a few other things, but I've changed my mind. Politics is difficult. Like, it doesn't have to be tribal. I was a big donor to the Labour Party from 2017 to 2020. I have to say the Labour Party was equally ineffectual dealing with the Trump administration that's got no respect for liberal values, just as the current government we have. It's not a tribal thing, so I want to take objection to calling out. Minister Goldsmith is here. Thank you for coming tonight. It's not an easy... Tribal doesn't have to be there. Let's be honest, Labour and National, it's like choosing between light grey and dark grey every 3 years. We've got more in common in the middle, and as the lead sponsor, well, it's not about personally. My personal opinion is it's not good enough just to be tribal about it. Both sides are struggling to deal with a world that's full of conflict. Where's our community? Like, I just don't think it's helped to turn politics into tribal. Both sides have been equally ineffectual and being brave enough to tell the truth in the modern world that's deeply scary for our children looking to the future. Now, let's get back to where I was going to say. It takes 60 seconds. Can we imagine we're in 2060? And we're in a primary school playground and the kids are 10 years old and they're chattering amongst themselves. And they're speaking te reo and English comfortably because that's how they've been brought up. All our children in 2060 are bilingual. That's respect. That's Aotearoa's future. Why can't we do that? Just imagine that world. The future's always with young people. You know, we've all got a history. All our children deserve to be mana whenua. We all deserve to hold different opinions but still be able to talk to each other and not disintegrate into tribalism or just politics of trope. So 2062 is 2 generations into the future. You imagine that world where we're all talking to each other in 2 languages. Our shared language, a future world. It doesn't deny anyone's history, but we can forge a new world together. Stories can also be about the future as well, not just the past. I'm going to stop here because, but I really appreciate having the chance to speak, and I really appreciate all the prize winners tonight, all the finalists. The work. It's not an easy thing to do to write a book. I know a few authors and the journey sounds horrendous. Trying to do anything that personal and that brave can't be easy, and so thank you to all our entrants, hundreds of them each year, and it's a real pleasure to be part of this group in the room, and let's just all talk to each other afterwards, have a few drinks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark, for your words and for your challenge. And even though I could feel sphincters clenching around the room, we all survived. It's good. No, but I agree. We do need to listen and we do need to talk. And it's really important that people get to tell their stories because that's how we learn. And that's what each one of our finalists has done tonight, has committed their stories to the page so that we can listen, learn, read, understand, and accept that there are so many different perspectives in the world. So ngā mihi nui kia koe, Martin. Thank you so much for your valuable support of these awards. It means so very much. A round of applause for Mark and Ockham Residential, please. And congratulations again to our winning writers. The Book Awards Trust also salutes the skill, imagination and commitment to excellence that has been demonstrated by all of our finalists and their publishers through the brilliant books you have heard about tonight. Huge gratitude goes to the brave and conscientious judges and to our loyal and generous sponsors. These awards would not be possible without you all. So please, a round of applause. Se te whānau. It's been a huge pleasure and privilege to once again guide you through the Ockham New Zealand Book Awards. Thank you so much for being part of this event, for supporting the thriving literary culture of Aotearoa. All the books you've heard, read or announced tonight are available for purchase right outside these doors. Do make sure that you purchase them. A number of the Ockham's long-listed and shortlisted writers and winners are appearing alongside a host of other international and local authors in the 2026 Auckland Writers' Festival in this precinct over the coming days. If you haven't already, grab a program, buy some tickets and enjoy the buzz of the Southern Hemisphere's largest literary festival. I'm sure that you all have already or you wouldn't be here, but in the instance that you may not, tickets are available from Ticketmaster online at the box office in this building. And a final thanks goes to the fabulous Ben Fernandez Trio, who will see us out with his song. A round of applause, please, for our amazing trio. But for now, e te whānau ko tēnei te wā te whakakapi o tā tātou pō, mō ngā kupu, mō ngā whakaro, mō ngā momoia, kua tuhia ki ngā whārangi o ngā puka puka tēnā rā koutou katoa, no reire te whānau, kia pai tō koutou pō, po Māori e, ngā mihi.